Today we're going to have a little look at some of the things I've been getting up to, a little bit of stitchery and a little bit of chattery, and yeah, just a little catch up. Hello and welcome back to a kooky corner of YouTube. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's lovely to see you. I've had quite a few new subscribers this past month, so it's lovely to have you with me. And yeah, really nice to share some stuff with you. Okay, so first off, it's a thing that I saw on an Instagram post. I will track it down again and I will post a link to the particular person who posted this, because this is great. I love it so much. We all have these bits of fabric hanging around. Well, I have these bits of fabric hanging around. I'm sure a lot of you also have these little bits as well. And they're great for like strip quilting and stuff like that. But sometimes you just want something that you want to stick down, maybe in a collage, or you want to put something pretty in a journal to hold onto a piece of paper or a photo or something. And this is it's such a genius idea. I have got double-sided adhesive, as you know, paper, which you could do bigger bits of this with as well. So thinking ahead to things that I might want to do with that, but this is just such a genius idea. I thought you guys might like to see it as well. All props to the person who posted it on Instagram. My brain was working, I would have remembered the name, but I will put it in the description box below. So you need some double-sided adhesive tape like this boy here, and a strip of fabric. But look at these, look at them. They do slightly fray at the ends, but not much, to be honest. If you give it a good rub down with the bone folder when you attach it. Look how pretty they are. See, that's got a little bit, only tad of fraying, but I think they are great. And I've used them in collage and I've used them in my journals as well so far since I found this on Instagram. So how you do it is you get your strip of fabric. I mean, it's just so simple. Why did I not think of this before? This is just, well, mind blown. So I don't try and do long lengths because I don't want loads of tape. So 6 inches or so. And you lay it on your fabric. If you've got a straight edge to lay against, all well and good. If you haven't, it doesn't really matter because you can trim it down. So bone folder, that's the thing I need. So just give it a good once over with this to make sure that the adhesive sticks as well as it can, and get rid of any of these stray bits hanging around. And this one you could do 2 pieces out of, which I probably will as well, but I just want to show you. Just trim it down. Just trim it down. Nothing fancy. Nothing complicated. No rocket science here. It's just making yourself some fancy tape. Who doesn't like fancy tape? I love washi tape. I've got a couple of videos of some of the tapes I've been making coming up later, but this one is just such a simple one. Look at that. Look how cute it is. And you can just, any little tiny bits, just trim them off. Just trim it off. And you've got beautiful tape. And you can stick things into your journals. As I say, I use this in collage as well sometimes as an extra bit of fancy, because you can. But they're so pretty. So I'm going to find a little box that I can put these in to store them. Because that's probably about the longest I'll do. I mean, you could do a longer amount, but you don't ever use that. Well, you don't ever use that huge amount of tape when you're sticking something into your journal or in a piece of collage. So I've kept them small so I can just have lots of little bits. Look at them. Anyway, let's move on to some of the things I've been doing this month. If you are new here, have a look back at a couple of videos ago. I showed you how I was putting together this piece inspired by the most glorious Maggie Morris, who is a wonderful stitcher in our community and on Arty Farty Annie's Discord group and in the Facebook group and in my Facebook group. She's just a wonder, and we all have gone into the celebration of her beautiful stitchery. So I made this, which was my little journal cover. I actually, you know, I told you I made it for these little ones here. Well, I could still fit a little one in there as well. Ha ha! Double win. So if I open this out again, that's long strap. I've got my little sketchbook in there, and I said I was going to make it for this, and it still fits in. It's perfect. So I've got a little notebook in there as well. Not actually used the notebook yet, but ha ha, win-win. Well, now I'll show you the next thing that I am on to. So let me just wrap this back up again. I do love this long strap. You can wrap it in fancy ways. Quite like that. Like a bit of a fancy wrap. And then it just pops up around there. Fits into my bag beautifully. I love getting this out and touching it. They're so tactile. They're just such a lovely thing to feel. Anyway, I digress. These are journal covers that I made a couple of years ago now, coming up for 3 years, maybe 2.5 years perhaps. This is probably my second journal cover that I made. I took this one away with me to the Caribbean to finish it off, but this one was for, let me show you, this size journal. So that goes in there, just about wraps too, and it's got a fancy wrap around the middle like my other one that I made. This one has got a lot of pieces, little decorative pieces from Bazaar on it, all the little pieces that come in the Bazaar packs, and my traditional stars and swirls. Well, having done the little wrap that I did for Maggie's piece, I put together this. Now I can't take you up a little bit, see if I can include it all in there. It is quite a big boy, and I wanted a bigger one. Let me see how much bigger it is than this one, to be fair. I think this is my biggest one so far. I think yes, oh yeah. It's not much different depth wise, and I'll tell you for why in a minute, but it's wider. So it's the biggest journal wrap I've done so far. Now my reasoning for this is that this is a Leuchtturm dot journal. I don't do bullet journaling. I have tried bullet journaling, but me and bullet journaling just don't get along, and I'm not one for a fancy journal. I know a lot of people love doing the fancy journals with all the tapes and stuff in them, and I appreciate that, but I have what I call my catch-all journal, and it's one I put all my lists and things in. So I've just recently swapped over to my new catch-all. It's not got anything in it yet because I've still got a couple of pages in the old one, but I started preparing this one. Look at this beautiful lion sticker. I know I'm digressing, but stay with me, stay with me. This sticker and this beautiful foxy, and here we go. Look at him. Now these are all from an Etsy shop called Sushi Art Studio. It does the most amazing stickers, and I bought these 3 and I love them to bits, and there are others there that I want to get too. But it's Sushi Art Studio. This was, as I say, on Etsy. I was just looking to see if she's got another thingamadoo. I don't think there is. No. So if you look for that on Etsy, that's the only thing I can see as with advertising on it. but if you like these kind of things, which I do, because I stuck 2 of them on here, and I've got 1 to go on another journal at some point in time. So that's my little bit of Etsy purchasing. But yeah, so I digressed. I'm going to go back now. I wanted to be able to fit both my big catch-all journal, I call this big, but it is just the right size for me, and I also wanted to fit a sketchbook of the same size in the same journal wrap. This is why I've got onto this. So I've had a few people asking me to show you stitchery things that I do with this, and you can see that a lot of it is completed. I'll put a picture of how I had it all laid out, and what it's laid out on, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of like a batting, but it's got like a material on the back, and I got this from a company that was selling off lots of bits of fabric. You just paid £5. Is it Contraldo? Anyway, you paid £5 and you got a whole load of like fabrics coming back, like white fabrics that you could use as bases. Well, that's one of those. So I thought, well, that's great for using as a batting or a wadding for the backing of a journal cover. So I laid all my fabrics out as I usually do. If you haven't seen me laying out fabrics, I'm sure I've got some videos on my channel that will show you how I do all that. But I will put a picture of this all laid out before it has been stitched. And the stitching is what brings it together, and I've used some of Maggie's ideas and some of my own, so it's like a little mashup of me and Maggie. that sounds weird, sorry Maggie, I'm sure you don't want to be mashed up with me. Anyway, this is what I've got so far. Now, I've had a few comments about the fabric in here. This particular fabric was sent to me by another Sue in our group called Sue. Granny Sue is what she goes by, and she is the loveliest lady, and she sent me a whole load of fabrics once, including some of this beautiful laurel birch fabric. Now, if you don't know about laurel birch, have a little search. Being a poet again today. Search for laurel birch and you'll see all the beautiful pieces of artwork and quilting and everything else. I've got about 3 books by Lauren Birch on my bookshelf that I remember I still have now. And I've got 2 sculptures in my living room. But I just love her work. I've also got a couple of rubber stamps with all the cats on as well, because I was obsessed with them at the time. So to have that in the little stash of fabrics that Sue sent me was fabulous. So I thought they have got to be immortalised in a journal cover. So we've got a few of them here. We've got a few of them here. And we've got 2 peeping at the bottom there that I haven't stitched yet. So I thought I'd take you with me on a little journey. Now you can see the difference between that bit which has not been stitched and this bit which has been stitched. What happens to the fabric is it kind of shrinks slightly, so you have to make it a little bigger than you would make, you know, bigger than you expect it to be, so to account for the amount of shrinkage you get when you use all the beautiful stitches, the running stitches, these spirally back stitches. They take in fabric and bring it closer together, and you get this kind of ruching. I love this. I actually love the feel of this, and this becomes much stiffer a fabric. This is quite, it's not floppy, but when you do the stitchery into it, it kind of adds texture, and it's just beautiful. Anyway, I'm waffling on. So this is my current working box of threads. Hold on, we can't get it all in, it's just huge. I've got all kinds of stuff in here. I've got these silky 12 weight. I have got my neon Aurifil 12 weights. I've got the pearl threads going on. I've got the variegated Wonderfil threads going on. We've got it all going on in this box because I use all of these colours. You don't have to be as colourful as I am. You do things your way. But I've had a few people asking me just to show how I do or tackle something like this. And Maggie and I are in agreement that the way we tackle things like this is we get it all laid out. What I do with mine is I do a tacking stitch. Can you see those stitches going down there? I use a machine Aurifil, which is, I think it's a 60 or something, or a 50, I can't remember. And it's in the Marrakesh colourway that I use for stitching with. I don't think it's in here. How do you find anything in there, Cookie? Well, with difficulty, I answer. Anyway, it's like a multicoloured thread, and it blends in so well that once I've got all the tacking done on it, as you can see, it kind of really blends in, and I can leave it. I don't need to take out the stitches. So I do that up and down my whole piece until I've tacked every single thing down here. And then what I do is I'll find an area to start with. Because I was desperate to see how it looked, I started with these cats here, and these are all outlined in a back stitch. And then I picked out parts of their fur. If you can look on that one as well, I've kind of picked out little bits of decoration. I didn't do that one, but I could still go back into that. And then as I'm going along, I'll just take any area that takes my fancy and start stitching into it. I have worked from this side over to this side, but I've kind of jumped around a bit as well. Let me move this big box of threads out of the way. Right, back to this. So what I want to do now on here is I'm leaving that for a while because I want to put a big star in the middle of there. You see that felt star there? I want to do something bigger on that one there. Okay, let's have a little look. Which bit are we going to stitch into? Actually, what I'm going to show you is a little flower that I would probably do on this bit here. I also sew down all the edges of my fabric, if I can. That one needs tacking down there. So all the little bits like these will all be sewn with this over sew stitch, and I try and make it as decorative as possible. Anyway, let's do a little bit of stitching together, shall we? So I'm going to just go around the edges of this cat here down at the bottom. Excuse my fingers, they are covered in dye. I've been doing some wet felting, and unfortunately the tops that I was felting, all the dye started coming out and it was very blue, so I turned into a smurf for a while. Well, my hands did. And yeah, not very sightly, and I still got some of the bits in my cuticles. Apologise. I'll never be a hand model. So you can see I'm just going around. Let me take you down. Take you down to the Paradise City. No, we'll not sing. Okay. I am just doing a back stitch around these cats. Said no one ever. What have you been doing today? I've just been back stitching around some cats. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And this, when I'm not doing it underneath the camera, is very relaxing. It's not too unrelaxing doing it under the camera, but I just feel mindful that I've got to remember to keep the stitching in view of you guys so that you can see it. Because otherwise, what's the point? So it's really simple. You're following the lines, and this is what Maggie does on her pieces. She'll follow the lines of some fabric with a pattern on it, and then she'll infill around it. Maggie always says she doesn't like to leave an inch of fabric uncovered without stitches. And her pieces are just so beautiful, I have to say. So let's finish that bit off. I'm actually just going to outline the other cat in the same thread as well. Usually I swap it over and do something different, but This is just like an added bit of fabric that I threw on at the last minute because I couldn't waste these little peeping cats. You need peeping cats in your life. I don't have a peeping cat. My neighbours have a cat that comes and peeps at me through the studio door. He generally comes up and he'll kind of pad around, and then he kind of circles back. And if you're not looking, he'll put his paw to come in the door. But as soon as any movement is made, he just shoots off again. I think he'd like to come in here and be a studio cat for a bit, but I'm not sure my neighbours would approve, to be fair. I think he's eyeing up the rug that I've got at the front. I think he'd quite like to lie on that and stretch out in the sun, because we do get quite a bit of sun coming in here in the summer months. Well, in the winter months as well. I tend to live out here in the daytime. Since we had this been built, it has been my haven, my sanctuary, a place I always go to at least for the daytime hours anyway. And then when the evening time hits, I will decamp and go into the living room and watch something on the TV, usually with either something on my lap to finish off or just with a cup of tea and a little snacky. So this is really relaxing. You're just doing a back stitch. It's nothing fancy. There are no fancy stitches in the whole of this thing. The thing that pulls it together is all of the colour and the amount of stitches that you put into it, because it just looks like a lot of work. Well, it is a lot of work. I have to be honest, I've been going at this for a whole week and still haven't finished it, but that's the joy of slow stitching. That is the joy. I've been picking this up in between things and just adding bits in as and when, like I've been doing with my temperature snake, who I'm currently crocheting every day. I've had a little bit of a catch up on him because I had to leave him at home for 2 weeks when I went on holiday. So I'm still on a catch up situation with him, but he'll soon be caught up. The next couple of days I will have got him up to temperature speed and I'll be able to show you how far I've got with him. But my brain likes having all these little things going on so that when I kind of get a little bored with something, not bored, but you just want a bit of a change, and I've got something else to do. So I've got about 5 projects on the go at the minute, including my big quilt, my Losing My Marbles quilt, which I also need to get back on track as well. So many things, so little time. So that's what you do with the cats, and then you outline the eyes and any other things that you want down the nose. You could go in with the whiskers. I've gone in with some fluorescent-y whiskers there. I did a little bit of thread painting there, which I could add into any of these at any point in time before I finish making it up. Other things I like to add in is like this little flower here. Little flower. A lot of it is running stitches. A lot of it is these little cross stitches. I sometimes throw in a little bit of chain stitch or a daisy stitch. A few French knots here and there. If you see what I mean, there's nothing complicated about it. But when you put them all together with all the colour, it just starts to take on its own little life. These spiral stitches I love. I love stitching in a spiral. You'll notice the things that I like because they're all here. So I've got stars, hearts, spirals. What's the other thing I love to do? So many things. I love doing the crossy stitches as well. Really like those. But stars, hearts and spirals will feature in anything I do, even if it's in my artwork that I paint or draw. Those are the motifs I love the best. So do things that you love. Put things that you love into your pieces of stitchery. So the next thing I'm going to do is this little flower. So I've got a circle of felt This little area is just crying out for a flower, so that's what I'm going to do on here. And I am going to, I think I'm just going to go around it, I think, to start off with. I'm going to take this pin out because it's annoying me. And I am just going to over sew it down. I'm over sewing it in a contrasting colour. You could over sew it in a similar colour, but I like my stitches to show. So I'm just going around really quickly. And over sewing this little bit of felt down. If I was stitching this in my chair that I like to sit in when I'm stitching, I wouldn't be going so quickly. You can take it as slowly as you like. It really is your fun, your time, your relaxation. And as I say, I took a piece, the piece that I showed you, the purple piece, that went to the Caribbean with me, and I just stitched some of that throughout the whole time I was there. Really enjoyed just taking it out of an evening with a few threads and stitching it down. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a little yellow stalk, because why not? So this is just going to be the split back stitch to make a stalky stalk on it. I've got a fly in here with me now. Fred. I can hear him buzzing around. It's got stuck in a window now. I generally try and guide them out when they come in. It's something, they like to come in here and have a little look around, and I don't want to stitch into my cat's head there. So I will stop that there. And let's go back in with that last stitch. And then I'll add some leaves on. You can do this in different colours. You don't have to do it all in the same colour. I'm just using this yellow because I've got it on my needle at the minute. So just making a leaf, which is you go in where you started, take it out where you want it to end, wrap your thread around, pull it out, not too tight, and then just secure it down with your thread. And then I'm going to add some petals onto it. So I've got some electric blue thread, and the same way I did the leaves, I'm going to do some petals, just going around my flower. These look nice in a variegated thread as well. Just saying. What are your favourite threads to stitch with? I'd love to know. It's always interesting to me what people use. I use all kinds of threads. I also use a wool, crewel wool. The fluorescent stuff. Where's the fluorescent stuff I use? It's crewel wool there. That's all crewel wool. It was a nice fluorescent yellow, so I thought, yes, we're having some of that. So yeah, in the comments below, let me know what your favourite threads are to use. I know a lot of people use the stranded embroidery threads, and I also do use those if they've got a colour in there that I like. I've twisted that somehow. Never mind, that'll do, donkey. Yeah, a lot of people use embroidery threads. I really like these pearl threads. I have to say, I've got a whole host of them. I bought a load from AliExpress as well in different colours. So I'm well stocked for pearl threads at the moment. And I do want to make some more journals and stuff. There's something about a journal cover, you know, just a wrap. I don't know, it makes whatever's inside precious. So you could have wraps for all kinds of things. I know the lovely Sue over in SuzieQMakes. Go and check out her pencil roll that she's done in a similar fashion. I'll leave a link to hers in the description box below as well. Also Annie's beautiful stitchery that she's been making. So I'm going to leave a link to Annie's and to Sue's, and go and have a look. The pencil roll is calling to me. I might have to make myself one of those. I have got a stitchery thing coming up at some point this year where I am going to make my own art bag. So that's in the pipeline. Got that in there. I think I'm going to need to get some more thread to finish this off. Right, I've regrouped. Got some more thread on my needle. Back into making these petals. So it basically is very, very simple stitches, just used repeatedly and in rotation. Really nothing fancy. I mean, if you want to go completely fancy, you know, you do you. I do like the simplicity of the stitches because that kind of helps me not get too lost in trying to remember which bit I've got to do next. And I kind of got muscle memory on these stitches now, so I know what I'm doing. She says as she tries desperately to pull through a thread that's not going to come through. There we go. Right, while I have got this blue on here, what I'm going to do is to oversew the edges on this fabric, which has been annoying me for a while, because that's why I had the pin in there. It just kept flapping up, so I am going to tackle that now, just with an oversew. So anything sticks up, sew it down. That's my mantra. If it's sticking up, sew it down. I don't mind if it goes a little bit fray on the edges. I've got no problem with that. But I don't want it sticking up. I've got all kinds of different bits and pieces in here. I mentioned the fabric, the cat fabric, the laurel birch stuff, but most of this is leftover bits from the Losing My Marbles quilt that I'm making. I'll kind of tuck that under there a bit so that it stays together. So yeah, I want to use up the scraps because the K facet fabric that I've got in the main that I'm using for it is so precious to me. I love it. So I want to use it up in a lot of different ways. The Kinisaiga is a good way to use up scraps, which you've probably seen from my video before. But making yourself a scrappy journal, oh. And it's just such a feeling of achievement when you've made it, and it's just so lovely and just nice to look after journals. And you could even wrap a reading book in it if you wanted it to be a reading book cover. You know, just make it to the size you want it. Make it bigger so it'll do for other things as well. I'm just going to finish this off camera. So that is what I am up to. I've got this little bit left. I want to put that felt star on there. Probably another half a day playing with this, and this will be ready then for the backing, because I back them, edge them, back them, put the little tie on the side, and then I'll have another journal cover ready to play with and wrap around my favourite things. So, like so, that's how I edge them generally. And then the backing, I'll probably stick with the black and white spots because that is just such a nice contrast to all the colour on the front. With this one, you can see that I went brightly coloured all the way through, and then also stitched into the background because I had the time. I was in the Caribbean, you know, I was just enjoying myself. This is another piece, little clutch bag, which is lined, and I'm just waiting to put, I was going to put a popper on underneath there, but I might just put something that wraps around that button I made. There's a video on me making some of these buttons as well somewhere on my channel. But it's just a fun way to make things that you're going to enjoy and find useful. And if you've got friends and family who enjoy journaling or book reading or whatever, and you think they'd appreciate something like this, now is the time for starting those presents that you want to make for birthdays, Christmas, whatever you make it for, so that you can give them something handmade. And it really does go down a treat, I say, to give something that you put a lot of effort and a lot of time into. And yeah, when you've filled your house with bits for yourself, which I have, then you can start to think about making them for presents. Or just be, you know, just be magnanimous and just give them all away. I do give away a lot of the things I make as presents and, you know, just thank you gifts. Anyway, that is enough waffle from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this little chat and natter and little stitchery session that we've had here working on this journal cover. And these tapes, oh, I'm going to make some more of these tapes. Anyway, enough from me. I'll be back here very, very soon with something else. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Show me those thumbs. Have a great day. Bye for now.